I'm back with some more yapping to make. The last month has been interesting. After graduating uni and posting my last video about feeling lost and not knowing what to do, I did what I knew best, is to just spend a bunch of time gaming. Played a lot of Path of Exile, played a lot of Lineage, um, which we'll get into eventually. Actually, might as well talk about it now. So there's this private server that I guess for legal reason I cannot advertise here, but it's really good, made in Unreal Engine 4. If you've never played that game and you have a lot of life to waste, give it a shot. Google it. There is DVM Furor is there's this YouTuber Wizard. He is playing it now. Go to his Discord, you'll find the link there. So I spent 2 weeks there, and my life devolved to waking up at 4 a.m. to do raid bosses with my clan, which was a lot of fun. And I justified that whole experience by I want to make an MMO, right? So I should try one of the most popular MMOs to ever exist, Lineage 2. It's as good of an opportunity as any to jump into it now and see how it goes. So that's what I did, and I had a blast. But while playing it and while getting absolutely hooked to spending 16 hours per day clicking mobs and watching my character auto-attack them, I started to ask myself, why am I so entranced by this experience? And I think what we kind of collectively came up with, because I started pushing these questions onto people that I was playing with. Like, why are you enjoying this game so much? What is it about this experience that really grips you so much? And I think the social aspect was one of them. There was this underlying sense of competition, both within our guild and with the clans outside on the server. You wanted to be the biggest level in the server, get the best gear so that you can fight in the open world PvP game, right? So it gives you a direct advantage of being stronger. There is open world PvP events, castle sieges and whatnot. So people were very motivated. The game experience was really fun. I think another thing that really stood out to me is that there was incentive to group with people very early on, especially because the server didn't quite penalize you for having more than 4 or 5 people in the group. So that was a pretty unique experience. I really like that in terms of design. So while thinking about it, I started to just kind of unravel my relationship with gaming. And I kind of had to face the fact that it's rather unhealthy. And that if I want to make a game, an MMO, that will be successful, I will inevitably create an experience that I deem unhealthy for myself. So how do I ethically justify creating something that I would consider suffering from? Is the time spent having fun really a waste? Is time seeking pleasure a waste? Both of these questions, I just immediately go to the extreme and say, well, there is heroin. That's pretty joyful. That's probably not the best thing to look for. There is a lot in gaming that works the same way. Reward patterns, gambling. It's all kind of this like dark psychological tricks that are there to get you hooked, to create an effective game that will extract time from your life. I may come off as negative, but I feel like it is important to investigate these thoughts. in and call things the way they are. And I would really appreciate it if people listening to this, if there is anyone, if you could push back and give me rebuttals to what I'm saying. I'm trying to investigate where my desire to make video games came from. I could trace back a lot of positive things in my life while thinking about game development about a year ago. How games were a way for me to connect with people, how they created an avenue for me to master something. I was always quite competitive at like League of Legends and MMOs I played. I always wanted to be good. That's why Black Desert really spoke to me, because the skill ceiling was so great there, and animation canceling and all that stuff. That coupled with like open world PvP, it just made the experience so riveting. And you were incentivized to both grind and get better so that you could fight other people better. And then I think, well, if I didn't have these outlets, would I seek the connection outside of video games? Is my inability to enjoy video games in a healthy manner my problem? I know other people have same kind of problems. So why do I want to make a video game? Is it because this is the safe place? This is maybe the only safe place I've had while growing up. From that perspective, I guess it would be better that I did have that space rather than didn't. Or maybe I would seek it out in other ways, like, I don't know, like outside groups, friends. Maybe I would find a way to connect with people. I mean, really hard to kind of theorize whether or not it was a positive or a negative experience. I mean, there's probably a bit of both. There's always a bit of both. It's never white or black. It's just that these principles, these methods of creating experiences that captivate, taking advantage of our psychology has become a staple, has become standard practice in marketing, in game development, in design. Is creating pleasure a net negative for humanity? Where is the line? How do we draw it, and how do we evolve from where we are now, where gambling, psychoanalysis has been taken to such a degree where we really understand what makes us tick, and we take advantage of that wherever we can, and we justify that by, making money. You can probably make a game without doing all that dark psychology shit. Can you make it profitable? Do you want to make it profitable? Why does it have to be profitable? If games are art, why do you try to why is your main objective to generate profit? Well, because it's a business in most cases, right? There is teams, they're operating, they're working on, they have an objective, and their objective is to create an experience that people will buy. However, your objective could also be to create an experience that people will enjoy, that doesn't necessarily maximize their revenue using psychological triggers and deception, it might be less effective, but your effectiveness depends on what your goals are, right? Yesterday I went to like an indie game dev meetup and I started asking these questions, and we had a interesting chat. It's kind of so ingrained into the business, the studies. People learn about these methods in university. I learn about these methods in my heuristics class for marketing. I think me asking these questions to people, seeking those answers, is kind of futile. I feel like every person has to come to a conclusion and make that value judgment themselves. You will not find it elsewhere. So what if I how do I develop mine? I don't necessarily have to do it now, I guess, but there must be different methods of delivering joy to a person, right? That's obvious. Some methods will create it through contrast, through punishment, through anticipation. Others will create an opportunity for mastery and connection. Ultimately, both result in dopamine. I should know what I'm talking more about here, but happiness occurs whether you win a lotto or you win in chess. You experience a positive emotion, but the consequence of that emotion might be different. One is kind of triggered by you earning something through your skill, dedication. The other is a fluke, a statistic. Yeah, I think that's it.